Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to another short devotion. This is another episode of Peter the Padawan. All that is a Star Wars reference. I'm sorry for me being a little bit of a nerd, but it's a guy who is learning from the master, and we love these stories that we see in the Gospels where Peter is learning from the master. And this story that we're going to be looking at is another example where Peter learned a very important lesson from the master. And it reminds me of those moments in life. Have you ever had those, might not happen a lot, but sometimes there's these moments where you're like, man, this is the best. I never want anything to change. I want it to stay like this forever. And Peter had one of those moments, and it was really interesting to see how that ended up for him. And we see this story beginning in Matthew chapter 17 when Jesus took Peter, James, and John up to the top of this mountain. And at this top of this mountain, Jesus was transfigured. He was glowing, he was shining. Something supernatural was happening. And then, also during this same time, Moses and Elijah appeared there right beside Jesus. They were having a conversation like there was nothing to it. You can just imagine how shocked and just amazed that the other disciples were, Peter, James, and John, and how they were maybe even freaking out a little bit, thinking, what's going on here? What's happening? And of course, Peter, he didn't wait for things to calm down. He just spoke up and he began to share his ideas. And he says, "Man, this is a good place to be. Let's set up 3 tabernacles." For this moment. And at first you hear that and you think, oh, well, Peter is going to set up a a structure to help them remember that something awesome happened here. But when you begin to look at some of the commentaries and you begin to look at the Greek word that Peter's using here for tabernacle, it kind of suggests that he is talking more of like a tent, a place to dwell, a place to spend the night. And most people believe this, dug into this and studied this. What Peter was saying is, man, not only is this a good place to be, but let's set up camp. Let's turn this into a Christian retreat. Let's stay here for a while. I don't want to leave. This is too good. And in the middle of Peter's excitement, God himself interrupts. He comes in this cloud, the cloud like described in the Old Testament. It's funny, back in Moses' day, it was this cloud surrounds everything. And then the voice of God speaks and said, guys, pay attention. This is my son. He's doing great. I'm very pleased. And I need you to listen to him. Quit trying to decide what you want to do and listen to him. And it says that it freaked the disciples out so much that they fell on their face. And Jesus had to go over there and touch them and grab them and say, guys, come on. It's okay. It's safe. You can get up now. And when they got up, everything was over. Elijah was gone, Moses was gone, the cloud was gone, and it was time to leave. And as Jesus was taking them down the mountain, they began to talk about the experience, and Jesus said, look, you don't need to tell anybody about this until after the resurrection. The disciples didn't know what he was talking about, a resurrection. So, well, that's not supposed to happen until Elijah, and Jesus said, all this stuff is in place. All this stuff has happened, and they begin to realize, whoa, John the Baptist fulfilled a lot more prophecies than we realized he did. Man, all this stage is set for something awesome to happen. And they couldn't talk about it, but they knew it was given to them to do something special. They knew 2 things right off the bat. First of all, that nobody else could relate to what they just saw at this time. But they also knew that God was going to use this very personal experience to equip them to obey Jesus in a very special way. And sometimes we experience this, that we're blessed with something we cannot communicate with others currently, because we're called to do stuff that other people cannot do. There's stuff that God has designed you specifically for, and that He has called you specifically to, that nobody can do but you. It's your calling. This plan was for you. And sometimes we think we're going through something alone, and maybe we are. But whether that experience is something wonderful or whether that experience is something heartbreaking, we know that it has a purpose. And it's not just for us to hold in, but it's for us to use. And even though other people might not be able to relate to it, check this out, they can still benefit from it, because that experience, whether positive, which might give us inspiration, or maybe difficult, which may give us wisdom, either way, that personal, unique experience is equipping us to obey Jesus in a way that nobody else can. Because when God blesses us, it's so that we can bless others. And even when God allows us to go through difficult times, even that is so that we're better equipped to bless others. God will not waste our pain, and we should not waste our blessings. Even though it's something that we can't explain, it's definitely something that we can draw strength from, that we can draw wisdom from, and that we can serve Jesus better with every day. Thank you for tuning in to this short devotion. If you have something on your mind and on your heart you want to talk about, pray about, please feel free to reach out to us here at First Baptist Honey Path. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.